That's right. It's Friday at 5 o'clock, and it is time to say, I got the Smokes Let's Ride podcast experience with me, BTCG, brought to you by Camacho. Live Life Bold, episode 22. That's right. We got 22 in a row. I've been here 22 times in a row. I sure hope you have. If you haven't, then go back and check the other one so you can be cool like the cool kids. Well, I'm not saying that they're cool kids, but they are. Not because they watch this silliness, but because they're just awesome and phenomenal. And I know that you are part of the Cool Kids Club because you are awesome and phenomenal. But this hour, this time we're going to spend together, hopefully, is that buffer between work and home. You can relax, you can unwind, you can laugh a little bit, you can shake your head at the silliness of the thing that is Bob the cigar guy. Can maybe learn a little bit about cigars. Who knows? We might talk a little bit about cigars and stuff like that. But it's unscripted and it's ready to go. And I am ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I don't know what I was going to do with that. It sounded like a good idea when it was going in my head unscripted. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't have anything edits to enter or anything else to do, so it's kind of anticlimactic. I got you to the top of the mountain, and I said, "Here it is, bye bye." So my bad. I'll work on that next week. Come back next week, and you'll see. By the way, if you're not smoking a cigar right now because you're in your car, but later on you're going to smoke a cigar, why don't you try a Camacho cigar? Camacho cigars, that's right. The big color bands, the beautiful, beautiful blends, the deliciousness, delectable delightability of the fantastic tobacco lifestyle that we call cigar smoking. That's right, Camacho does a good job. They do. Davidoff does a good job. Avo does a good job. Zeno, that's all right there. You got a little Baccarat in there too. Yeah, that's some good stuff. But then there's other manufacturers and companies that are good too. I'm not gonna say that they're the only ones on the block, but they're on the block, and I'll tell you what, they got a good seat. That's right. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of randomly running my mouth until my mind catches up with the things that I need to talk about. What I want to talk to you about is making your life a little better. This is not a sponsored product. This is not. This is something that I got at PCA that I really wanted to try. I heard it from Cigar Craig. And he's an amazing pillar of the media life, doing the written media on the socials. And he was back when blogging was before blogging, when you had your computer where it was no color screen and the little square blinked up in the top corner, right? We're talking DOS shell kind of time, way back in the day, chat rooms when chat rooms were okay. Then they weren't, but Craig is always talking about this cutter. And what color am I talking about? I'm talking about the baller, right? Cigar Medic's baller. I was like, I want to try it just to see. It looks a little gitchy. It's going to cut a melon ball out of my cigar, which I love a V cut. And I'm all right with a straight cut, a guillotine. Not big on the punch. Here's a couple reasons why. Wait a minute. Let me cut my cigar before I start talking about it because I really want to smoke this Camacho, this gorgeous red band. I really want to get a hold to it. So I'm going to take my little baller. Isn't that nice? Little ASMR. Am I supposed to scratch the... Why people do that, I don't know. Why people watch that, I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway. But I'm going to cut my cigar right now. See, that's just weird. It's just weird. Yeah, I'm in a dark room in a shed, right? Talking to my phone. I mean, we've got serial killer vibes going on. I've got the red and the blue back there, right? Which is America because my face is more white than anything else. So it's red, white, blue. You get it? Get it? Got it? Good. So, but still, it's just kind of creepy to me. If it's your thing, it's your thing. Just don't expect me to sit down and watch it with you at an event. So you just take and you slap this thing on there. You give it a good push. And you give it a good squeeze, and this little round bird pecky thing, beaky thing comes out, and it cuts a perfect melon hole. The schmutz just falls right out of the back. It's engineered well. It's simple engineering, and some of the best engineering is simple engineering. There's not a lot of pieces to go bad. The springs are simple. The whole thing is simple. It's nice and heavy and substantial. It's very, very heavy. It's a very solid piece of hardware. You got to be careful about sticking your fingers in there because it looks like it would take up a chunk off. Right, so let me light this up. I'm going to grab one of my old Jetline lighters. I just grabbed a little Jetline that I had laying around. I got tons of lighters at my desk. Maybe one day I'll do an unpacking of my desk and you'll see how much of a clutterer I am. I will not call myself a hoarder. I'm a collector, because if I'm a hoarder, it's a problem, and I have no problems except that I don't have enough, right? And my Jetline has not been used in a while, and the butane is low. And so all these little clicks you keep hearing is me having to relight and put that down. That was the sound of me putting it down in disgust. I'm picking up another lighter, and it's blowing just fine. It's lighting like a champ. So I want to get puffing. But this baller, why I'm interested in the baller. Number one, Cigar Craig doesn't do junk. He doesn't back junk. He doesn't support junk. The man is amazing. He's phenomenal. He is one of the titans of the media experience. You've got him. You've got Eric Gutmerson from Cigar Dojo. You've got Coop. Tim Swanson, even though he also has a shop. Heffel gets every scoop the world ever knows. Right? There's a ton of other great shops or other great media presences, but they've been here a long time, and check them out. Check all their stuff out. Cigar Dojo is amazing as well. The Dojo Verse, which is a Facebook for cigars, is fantastic. I love it. But so anyway, Cigar Craig does a great job, and he keeps talking about the Cigar Medics thing. This baller. And so I started thinking about it. And I've talked about this before. I haven't talked about it in a while, so I'm going to talk about it now because we got a little time. You ain't going nowhere. You driving. Let me get a sip of coffee. This Camacho Red Band is delicious, by the way. So you have three main cutter styles. Four. The first one is you bite it with your teeth, right? I don't do that at all. Second one is a punch. The third one would be a guillotine. The fourth one would be a V-cut. So you're probably familiar with all of those. All right, the teeth, really simple. Everybody's got them, even if you bought them. The upsides, they don't cost nothing. You already got them. You're paying for them for other things, so it doesn't afford anything. You're never without them, hopefully. And they're easily accessible, right? So you can just bite the cigar and light the cigar. The detractors, the negatives, you can rip a cap. You can get a little piece of tobacco in your mouth. It just doesn't look very civilized. So there's your detractors. Your punch. By far, it is, when you go to a cigar shop, 9 out of 10 times, tell me if I'm wrong, punches are the cheapest cutters. Even cheaper than the little single blade plastic guillotine. You know that one I'm talking about. That little piece of junk tackle box cutter. Start off cutter, not even an event cutter, it's so poor, but you can buy it for $3-4, but you can get the punches for 95 cents, 99 cents, and they're just teeny little. They usually have a keychain on them because they're easy to put on your keys, and the cap comes off, and you just punch your cigar. And if you need a bigger hole, you can punch a bigger hole. If you need a smaller hole, you can just do one punch. There's a lot of positives. It's very cheap. It's easily transportable. You can hook it on your keys. You can hook it on the side of your Travador if you're taking your Travador. I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's pretty cheap. If you lose it, it's not that big of a deal. And it's easy to use. Now, when you use a punch, here's the trick. Most people, when they use a punch, do two things wrong when they start off. First thing is they try to punch the cigar and not let the cigar get punched. That sounds stupid, but let me explain. Oh, this Camacho's good. So, if you take a cigar and you put the punch on the cap and you try to cram that thing in there to cut it, you're going to crack the cap. You are. That cigar, if you take your time and apply slow, steady pressure with a rotational twist to it, let's get technical, it will slowly cut itself. It will just walk into the cutter. It will not cause cracks on the cap if you take your time doing that, unless it's an extremely dry cigar. It will not cause cracks on the cap. It will not cause splitting. It will not cause any of this and that and the other. It will it will cut, and then you just take and knock the schmutz out and you go. Because all you're wanting to do when you cut a cigar, let's be honest, if you have a 6-inch cigar and you cut a half inch off of it, now you paid for a 6-inch cigar, you only get 5.5 inches, and you really ain't gonna smoke the last inch and a half. So now you're down to 4 inches of cigar that you paid X amount of dollars. So you lost 33% of your cigar. All you want to do is take and cut the top to where it looks like the bottom. You should barely skin that thing at all. You should take off just a couple layers of tobacco off the top, and that's it. If you punch it, you just want to punch the pieces that are laying not the same way as the rest of the tobacco. You just want air to go from one end to the other so that you can enjoy the smoke, and you can just consume the cigar. That's all lighting a cigar is. That's all. Or cutting a cigar is. So when you use the cut, the second thing that people do wrong. So the first one, you force it too hard. Second thing people regularly do wrong is you try to think that since it's a round thing and I'm cutting a circle, I have to rotate the cigar 360 degrees over and over and over like I'm screwing in a light bulb. You don't. The blade is completely sharp all the way around. All you have to do is rotate that thing 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees to the left. You just have to kind of work it left and right, left and right, left and right. Because when you start trying to spin that thing, you have a chance of changing the way your cigar is in line with the cutter, and it causes more stress on the tobacco, and it gives a better propensity, small, but a better propensity of cracks or the cap popping off. Now, when you punch a very cheap cigar, you'll have a lot more problems from a manufacturer that is a very small boutique. And I'm not going against boutiques. All big cigar companies were boutiques at one time, but there are a lot of boutiques that ain't got it down pat yet, and so they have subpar conditions, subpar materials, and subpar practices, and that will show when you're using a punch. The negatives of a punch: it'll crack. It will. It's also sometimes, depending on your punch and how much you spent for it, to get the schmutz out of the middle of it. It's irritating. The negative part of a punch is all cigars have naturally, all tobacco naturally has tar in it. Using on it, it happens usually, if it happens rare, but when it happens, it's usually on a darker wrap cigar, a thicker leaf. And when you smoke it, you get these little black things coming up on your cigar up to where you're smoking it, and it is that tar building up. And so once that touches your tongue, it tastes like you're smoking an asphalt road, a brand new paved road. When you're smoking it, the tar actually, it's easier for the tar to cling to the side of the punch wall. I've experienced this. I believe this to be true. I've had other people agree with me. I've had some people disagree with me. And so you do your own research and find out. But as far as I'm speaking, since I'm talking to you, I'm going to tell you that it sticks to the sidewalls more than it does a guillotine or a V-cut. It's facts. In my experience. I don't like that. Now, there's a guillotine. Pluses of a guillotine. There's tons of different styles. They can be very decorative. They can be very inexpensive. They can be very simple. They can have a single blade. They can have a double blade. They can be extremely sharp. They can be stainless. They could be, I could be brown. I could be blue. I could be violet sky. I could be purple. I could be hurtful. I could be anything you like. I mean, those cutters can be, I can't believe I remember the words to that song. I don't think it was in tune, but I actually remember the words. But, sorry for that. You can have very different offerings. We were at PCA this year and went up to a couple cutter companies, and they had some guillotines that were $75,000. And there were guillotines where at the retailer price, which is about half the price of what you would pay for it, they were 50 cents a piece, 30 cents a piece, which means they could sell it to you for $1, $2. So you can run the spectrum. Everybody usually, once you've been in for a while, you've got a bunch of those little giveaway cutters and this and that. I keep one in my backpack. I keep one in my toolbox. I keep one in my other toolbox. I keep one in my other toolbox. I keep one at my desk. I keep one on my workbench. I have in a tackle box, right? And actually, I really don't care about them cutters, so I've actually used them to strip wires because I couldn't find my wire strippers when I was running a bunch of electrical outlets. It works really, really well. Just don't try to cut a cigar with it afterwards because then it sucks big time. But there's lots and lots and lots of variety. All right. Then there's also the acceptance from society. Guillotine is the main way people cut cigars. Most times when you see cigars in magazines, when you see cigars of other people, they're smoking it guillotine style. It's the traditional style. I know somebody's going to fight me in comments and say, traditional style's biting it. That's a Cuban style. Okay, if you say so. All right. You bite it till you can, because I will cut my cigar by rubbing it on concrete if I have to. I'll use my pocket knife. I ain't worried about it. I'll use my fingernail if I got one. I'll use whatever I need to. I'll stab it. I'll stab it with a golf tee. I'll punch it with a screwdriver. I don't care. But right, I'm gonna do whatever I can to smoke my cigar. But a guillotine has some detractors. If you have a cigar with a cap that is a pour cap, it's a small cap, or it's put on cockeyed, which happens. I mean, think about it. This is natural, agricultural, man-made product. Millions are made every day by millions or by tons and tons of people. And so there is going to be quality issues. And some companies don't have as tight a quality control because their margins aren't the same and they don't have the ability to absorb that cost of getting rid of all those cigars. They say, well, it's good enough, ship it. We're going to sell it for a cheap price anyway. So what do they expect? It's not a $50 cigar. There are some companies that have that mindset. Problem with that mindset, if you say, what do they expect? It's not a $50 cigar, then you're never going to sell a $50 cigar because nobody's ever going to trust you to make a $50 cigar because the cigars you make are worth what they cost, and what they cost is not much. And they expect that experience. I'm hungry, I go to McDonald's. If I want to go out to a fancy restaurant, McDonald's is not it. So if a manufacturer wants an experience where they are selling that high experience, they better start doing high quality in that lower experience product. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. So, detractor to the guillotine. Everybody does it. You're not an individual. No. So, I get it. Mine's a different color. It's on a different cigar. I'm wearing a different bracelet. All right. You're right. I'm just telling you. Everybody's got a guillotine. Shoot, I got 100. I do. And the real soon we are going to start celebrating Year of the Chief. And the three things that we're going to be selling is a Travador. We're very limited. Oh my God, they're very limited. There's a Travador, a big old lighter, gorgeous, amazing lighter that's branded all over the place. The Travador's branded too, and it's really cool. And then we have a cutter, and it's a bigger XI Cigar guillotine cutter. It's a guillotine, right? The main reason I did it is because a lot of people use a guillotine. Yeah, I know. And it's very large and flat. You can put images on both sides. It presents extremely well, and it's Cigar quality, and Cigar is good quality. It's going to last. We don't ever want to sell things that aren't good. We bought our first cutter set, which were basically the cheaper event cutters. We were told they were going to be like the Drew Estate event cutters, and they weren't. And so we don't promote those very much, but we have a lighter that's amazing with me and Chief on each side, and a Travador as well. Usually, if you buy the Travador and you buy the lighter, you get the cutters basically for free, and you get a cigar rest and stuff like that. But I'm not here to sell you stuff. I guess I am, but I'm not intentionally trying to. Well, I guess I am. Well, I shouldn't be. There we go. The big detractor to me for guillotine, and I use a guillotine. It's easier. If the cap is wonky, to pop off. Everybody uses it. And when you smoke a cigar, It's kind of interesting. I forget who I learned this from, but they knew what they were talking about. There are parts of the smoke that is kind of ashy. Kind of ashy. And that flavor in the smoke, for whatever reason, will attach to moisture. This dude was a scientist. Seriously. I checked it with a couple other people. I didn't check it ad nauseum. I didn't get a master's degree in it, but I did do some research because it sounded a little too good to be true, but it seems like it is. So those flavors in the smoke that people don't usually like can attach to moisture. So when you're smoking a guillotine cigar, your tongue has a very good chance of coming in contact with the tobacco that's cut, and it puts moisture on that tobacco, which is good, right? You just said you got rid of the bad stuff. Until, here's the until you've got it moist enough to where it makes a droplet, small droplet on that tobacco, right on your tongue, and then all that concentrated flavor just pops on your tongue and just goes. And I when he told me that, I didn't think I ever had experienced it. I'm sitting there going in my head, have I ever had a moment? He didn't actually make that sound. That's the sound I make. Sorry. Anyway, this Camacho's good. And I didn't think I did. I couldn't remember none. It's it's not a big deal. And then after we had that talk, every once in a while, I was smoking cigars. I would notice that my cigar would taste bad for a couple puffs. I'm like, I wonder. And so I started thinking about it. And that's when I started double checking and fact checking this guy's stuff. And so it was interesting. And so there is that. Now, I am not going to stand on that as gospel. I'm going to tell you that I've done slight research and listened to people who know what they're talking about. And that's what I've come up with. But I do know that I've experienced that. I don't know if you have. If you have, leave me a comment. If you think that I'm totally sideways and just ridiculous, please feel free. I'd love to learn what you know. I would. Absolutely. Lastly, the V-cut. I prefer the V-cut. I've been guillotining lately just because I'm trying new cutters and promoting the year of the Chief cutter and stuff like that. But I lean into the V-cut really hard because it's the best of the punch and it's the best of the guillotine to me. The punch has walls that are straight up and down. The V-cut actually cuts a V, which makes it harder for that tar issue to happen. So it's got that punch quality, but it doesn't, and it saves the cap, because if you've got a wonky cap, if you pay attention to it, you cut the sides that are wonky and you leave the rest of it and hold your cigar together, right? It's also cool. V-cuts are usually cool. They usually are stylish. They're usually, and a lot of manufacturers now have come out with them. Calibri came out with the deep V-cut, which was the game changer, but Jetline has one. Cigar has one. Other companies have them. You can get them in a cheaper range. You can get them in more expensive range, but you can get your hands on V-cuts regularly. So they're easier to get to, but they're cool. But the other thing is that you're not getting that tar issue like punch issues, but with the punch issues, you don't get the tobacco wet, so you don't have the smoke issue. The guillotine, you do. So with that V-cut, unless you're just weird smoking your cigar, and smoke your cigar in the way you want to. I don't care. It's not my cigar. I'm not borrowing it from you. You do what you want to. And if you want to lick the inside of your cigar V-cut, blah, 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 dude, do your thing, right? I don't care. Don't look at me while you're doing it. That's kind of weird. But whatever. But if you smoke it like a regular person would smoke it, like an average person would smoke it, like people would expect you to smoke it, then you're not going to have that moisture build up on that tobacco. One detractor from a V cut. When I go to events, PCA is the worst. Barn smokers, other events that we go to, I will smoke a ton of cigars from sun up to sundown. There's a cigar in my mouth all the time. I'm not Bob the cigar keeper. I'm Bob the cigar guy. I'm smoking cigars, right? I smoke a lot of cigars. And when I V cut, I have to be careful when I'm smoking a ton of cigars in a very short period of time that the V cut is north and south, not east and west. The cut itself, as it's in my mouth, it's not horizontal, it's vertical. Here's why. Because when you do that, the smoke tends to, because I smoke on one side of my mouth like most people do, towards one side of my mouth, not cramming it in the corner, but it is more leaning towards one side of my mouth. And when you blow the smoke out, it irritates the crack of your mouth, where your lips come together. I just took a puff. I'm looking at myself in the camera, and I'm like, I intentionally slid it over without thinking about it, unintentionally, psychologically. What is that? Well, I didn't think about it. Anyway, boy, my memory is bad. But it does. It starts to irritate the side of my mouth, and you get it's almost like a tongue bite with a pipe, and so it kind of burns a little bit. And so, if you have a V cut and you're doing a ton cigars, just make sure you rotate where it cuts, or where the cut is, so that it doesn't irritate the corner of your mouth. If you've ever had that experience, I would love to hear somebody validate what I'm talking about. I really would, because I don't know if anybody ever has that experience. It's one of them things where you don't ask. You just kind of go, I wonder if everybody else feels this way, or am I the only one, right? So if I'm the only one, that's cool, because it's all about me when I smoke a cigar. Unless I'm smoking it on a video, then it's all about you. I'm just here sharing with you the opportunity for a great experience. And speaking of great experiences, and speaking of great cigars, might I suggest Camacho? Live life bold. That's right, Camacho cigars. When was the last time you had a Camacho? You ought to get you one, try you one. That's right, they have a lot of different varieties. Now, even the lighter blends are strong. They are robust. They are in the aggressive neighborhood. They're not super aggressive, but they are not mild. They are going to let you know they are there, and they are happy that you're there. And I'll bet you'll be happy they're there as well. Camacho is actually good for the novice cigar smoker. You get the yellow band. It's a very lighter thing, but you're going to get flavors. That's the thing about Camacho, is they're not trying to push, we want to see if we can knock somebody down and make their stomach turn. No, we want to see how much flavor, how much intensity of flavor we can cram into that. And in doing that, more often than not, intensity comes along with it. But it's not intensity for intensity's sake. So, delicious, delightful, lovely. Check out Camacho the next time you go to a lounge, or online, or shopping on the intranet. I tell you where to go, but I can't, because YouTube would smack me like a bad dog. I don't want to be smacked like a bad dog. So now we've gone over the basics. We've gone over the biting. We've gone over the punching. This sounds like a Mike Tyson fight. We go into the guillotine. Now we're in France. And then we go to the V-cut. Well, I don't know. Keeping it family friendly, we could call it the V-cut. So we'll just stick with Mike Tyson fighting in France. All right. Anyway. Now we got this baller. And I've cut maybe, I don't know, 15 cigars with it now. Maybe more. I have it sitting on my desk. I have a lot of stuff sitting on my desk, but I have it sitting on my desk. So when I'm sitting there smoking cigars or editing or whatever, and I grab a cigar to smoke, I just grab what's in front of me, right? And so I put it in front of me because that's the one I'm going to grab, because I don't go reaching up in the shelves or go looking in the toolboxes for different cutters. I've got lots and lots of stuff, but it just kind of phases out. I got tons of stuff everywhere. And as soon as we hit 10,000 subscribers, by the way, we're going to do a huge giveaway, just like we did last time. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are going to win, and everybody's going to win great, great prizes. And I'm going to get rid of my stuff, so we are stocking up stuff. So the sooner that we can get to that 10,000 mark in subscribers, the faster I can get rid of this stuff and put it in your house, and I can have room for the next giveaway. Right? I'm looking forward to it. We're coming up on 10 years. It'd be nice at the 10-year mark we had 10,000 subscribers. I know that's not a lot for a lot of people. That's not a lot for a lot of platforms. But for us, I think that's pretty dang good. Starting off without not knowing what we're doing, and still pretty much not knowing what we're doing. We're muddling along and paddling through, thanks to you, that we can just enjoy spending this quality time together. We've added a whole bunch of products. We've added... We've always had Drewsday. We jumped in with Saka. Then we added Chief Talk. And then we started getting sponsors from Natura Cigar, J.C. Newman, Aganorsa. Who else have we got? Natura Cigar, J.C. Newman, Drew Estate, Steve Saka. Now we're doing podcast by Camacho. Right, Camacho's sponsoring us, and so we have a podcast now. This podcast is going to start going to, Chief's going to show me how to do it now that PCA content is done. We're going to learn how to put this on podcast streaming services, so it's not just going to be something you find on YouTube, and I'm really hopeful that that's going to help grow our platform. Why? Because we want to brag. No, it's not why. We do feel that we have a purpose in this world like everybody else, and we feel that our purpose is to give somebody a place to relax, a place to be encouraged, a place to enjoy a lifestyle, a place to take a moment, right? And so we want to reach as many people as we can because we think it's something needed. It's not us, it's what is said and what is done and sharing that lifestyle. But let's get back to it. The baller pretty much seems to be the best of both worlds. If you got a wonky cap, it doesn't cut the edges of the cap at all. It doesn't. It doesn't have flat sides like a punch, so you're not going to build up that tar. It's not flat like a guillotine, so you're not going to put water on the tobacco. I have not tried to cut a torpedo or a box press yet. I got a cough. I got a tickle. Excuse me. I got a tickle. I don't know why. So, I don't know how those are going to do. I want to get some more practice in on it. It is easy to get the schmutz out of the cutter. It's real easy. From what I talked to the engineer who built it with Cigar Medics, and he showed me a sharpening setup where you could buy a sharpening setup and you could resharpen that blade. And I don't know if that's gonna go or not. Cigar Medics actually came out with the cutter, the Steve Saka cutter, that expensive cutter, that super duper cutter. They created and crafted that. And now they have their own cutter of that style. Same kind of thing. I'm hoping to get one of those and we can do a side-by-side Saka Cigar Medics kind of thing so you can see the difference, because the Cigar Medics one is different, a little different. Same mechanics basically, but the price is different. So, and it's not branded Dunbarton. Not that I have a problem with that at all, but you know, if you're smoking a cigar, something this and that, and you just want to put your branded stuff or your non-branded stuff with the cigar just to highlight that, then you need a different lighter or a different cutter, right? So I highly recommend about the Cigar Guy cutters and lighters because they go well with every cigar. They do. But this is not scripted. So sometimes the things I talk about, I don't know I'm going to talk about till I start to talk about them. And this is one of those things where about a minute ago, in the middle of the conversation, something hit me about a conversation that went on in my life just recently at work. I'm working with a feller, young guy, solid young man. He had a friend that gave him a He was helping him work on a car, and the guy said, "Let's take a break." And he pulled out what I believe from his description, a tobacco, coffee infused cigar. He said he really liked it, and we're working side by side. His area is right next to mine, and so I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's your first cigar?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "And you liked it?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, if you ever want to get into it, let me know. I'll get you a 5-pack. You can try some stuff before you buy some stuff, and we can kind of dial in your flavor profile, what you like and what you don't, and kind of test the strength of it and which way he leans." And I do this pretty much on a regular. People come up and find out. I don't advertise on Bob the Cigar Guy, but it just kind of comes out. And when a new department finds out, they start watching it in the break room. And then people start coming up to me and saying, "I did not know that you had a YouTube. I did not know you're as stupid as you are." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And I always say it's the biggest waste of time on the internet. We kind of go that back and forth. But I brought him 5 cigars. Usually when I bring somebody 5 cigars, I put a little Bovita pack in there. If I have an event cutter and lighter, just some cheap thing laying around, I might throw it in there and get them started with basically a setup if I have them. And I'll tell them, say, "Look, keep it out of the direct sunlight. Put it in your closet where it's cooler. Don't let it get over 70 degrees for a long period of time. When you take a cigar out of the bag, Ziploc bag, squeeze as much air out of it as you can, and that Bovita pack will last a long time. If the Bovita pack gets too crunchy, then we're going to have to do something. You're going to need to hurry up and smoke your cigars because they're going to start losing humidity." I just kind of give them a very, very, very quick tutorial on the basics of if you went to a lounge for the first time and bought a half a dozen cigars and you're going to keep them for 2 months, right? And I tell them they'll last a couple months like that if you do that. And they'll last a lot longer, but I just tell them a couple months just to give them somewhat of an urgency to try them instead of just saying, "Well, I'll wait till I got time." Right? It's a new investment in time, so you need to have some urgency, or you'll just never do it. I know I won't. I just like, "Oh man, I wish I could take some time," and so this is like, "Oh, I got to take time for this." So it just kind of helps put them in the mindset, and usually it works like this: about 20% of the people never smoke a cigar. I give them 5 cigars, they never smoke a cigar. Okay, I don't care. Other people, probably about 20%, will smoke a cigar and say, "I just don't know." I say, "Okay, just, enjoy them, pitch them, give them to your friends, do whatever you want to with them. I don't want them back." And they may smoke 1 cigar and just decide that it's not for them because, let me back up, when I put cigars in, I will give an infused cigar, if not 2. I would give a lighter cigar. I would give a cigar with a lot of character, like a Camacho that has a lot to it. And then I would give a dark cigar. And then I will stack it in the bag where I'm saying, "Okay, these are infused. This is light. This is bold. This is heavy." All right. I would suggest smoking it in this order, but you do whatever you want. But know that I gave you these cigars expecting you to hate 2 of them, love 1 of them, and the other one's okay. Or the other 2 are okay. And we're going to dial you in that way. And you come back and you tell me which ones you liked. I said, "Now here's a real simple trick, and do this for the rest of your life when you go get cigars if you get in the cigar lifestyle. If you like the cigar, take a picture of the band. If you don't like the cigar, tear the band in half and take a picture of the torn in half band, because, at least for me, I go into a lounge and I see, not so much anymore, but it was for a long time. I see a cigar and I'm like, "Man, I know that cigar," and I'll buy that cigar and I smoke the cigar and I say, "God, I hate this cigar." And I hated it the first time. I just remembered it because I got it. It's overwhelming sometimes. And so now I can look back at the picture and say, "Yeah, well, I remember that cigar and I didn't like it evidently. Let me not spend my money on that." I think it's a real good way to use technology to our advantage. At least that's what I do. So now we're up to 40%. So then there's a good bunch of people that will, probably 50%, that will smoke the cigars in about 2 to 3 weeks. They'll smoke one every day off, or 2 one day off, and then take off for the family, and da 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 da. And so that's how it goes. And then there's this slight 10%. And this young man, we call him Elmo. Elmo to the rescue! Sha 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 sha. He's so cool. He's got his own theme music. Anyway, Elmo is in that 10%. He came back. We had a long weekend, I guess. We were off 3-4 days. He came back and he goes, "I smoked them all." I said, "You did what?" He goes, "Yeah, I smoked them all. Man, I love it." I said, "You loved them all?" Because I mixed them up. Yeah. All right. Next day I came back with another 5 pack. And I changed it up. I gave him some different cigars. I gave him, because that's the great thing about cigars. There's so many different varieties. And so I went with an infused. I went with some lighters, some heaviers. I actually threw in a Bass Reeves from Protocol, which you can't get anymore. I said, this is an exclusive cigar. I mean, he dove in, and so he's excited. And so, I'm going to give him some more, right? And give him some good stuff. I don't, I don't give out junk. I don't give out cigars that are nasty. I don't give out cheap cigars. I don't. I give out stuff. We got it. We give it away, right? We like to do that. Be a river, not a lake. Allow the blessings to flow through you. Don't just hoard them and let everything get stagnant. I believe in that in my life, as well as on this channel, and Chief does as well. That's part of who we are. So, not every day he come in. He's single. Every day he comes in, and he goes, it's because I get there early. He comes in 10, 15 minutes early. I'm sitting in my toolbox. He comes in the toolbox. He drops his stuff, slam, on his toolbox next to mine. He goes, "I got to tell you." I cut my YouTube shorts off or whatever, my Facebook reels. And I'll say, "Tell me." He goes, "I had blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Okay, what'd you taste?" "I tasted this, and I tasted this, and I tasted this." And and he just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, "Dude, all right." And so we talk about it. And so for the first hour of the day, we talk about cigars every day. I love it. I love it. Because he asks some of the hardest questions. He does. He makes me work my brain off. And I'm not smart. I just have been smart enough to sit in rooms with extremely, extremely smart people and ask questions and shut my mouth and listen and learn. And so all I am is a recorder. Most of the information I have, some of it, but most of the information I have is from other people's experiences that are masters of their craft. It's a fact. And I will ask stupid questions. I flat out will. So Elmo and me are twins in that because he asks lots of questions. So we talk about cigars. So last week, I brought him in because he finished those. I brought him in 5 more cigars. He's working on them. I'm stoked. And so then we had a day. I did a video that's going to drop the Sunday before Memorial Day. So this will drop that next week. And it's a very, very, very difficult video for me. I do at least one every year. And I told you that this channel is intentional. We use cigars as a vehicle to be able to encourage, make people's lives better, share honest to God truth about your value and your worth. And we try to shut down the noise. Well, every May it used to just be mental health awareness, and now it's men's mental health awareness, with all the PTSD and all the men being men and keeping it all to themselves. People choose to make decisions to end their life instead of getting help. And so I take the opportunity at least once a year to do a video that's not regular for this channel. I talk about the hard things. I talk about the difficult things. It's uncomfortable. And in doing it, I want it to be impactful. And so I have to be transparent. And I have to share my experiences and what I go through, and it's very hard because I place upon myself an extremely high responsibility to do my best and be very intentional. And so I was kind of talking through it with Elmo, and just kind of organically in the conversation, he said, you know, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember his exact words. I remember his sentiment. He said, I find that when I smoke the cigars, I kind of feel better. I have a peace. The stress goes away. It's just a break. And he's a happy-go-lucky guy. He is. He's a great feller. And always positive, always encouraging, always motivating. The boy works so dang hard. I keep telling him to slow down. He make me look bad, which isn't hard. But he says, I really needed it and didn't know I needed it. And so that encourages me, number one, to keep giving him cigars, but also to have an opportunity to give other people cigars so that maybe, just maybe, that they'll experience that experience. I don't think everybody experiences or allows themselves to experience, or it doesn't lead into an experience of them having a needed moment of restful peace. I don't think everybody has that. I think some people smoke it because that's what you're supposed to do, because this football player, that basketball player smokes it. I think some people do it because the culture says that's either really cool or really not cool, and you're wanting to be one with culture or one against culture. Some people do it because their dad did it, their grandpa did it, their whoever did it, and they just want to have that moment. Some people do it for celebration. Some people do it for grieving. Some people do it for get-togethers and stuff like that. Some people do it because they just love it, and it's the flavors. And it's a smoking experience, and some people do it because they just need a break. I mean, if you think about it, if I didn't have this camera on, and I'm sitting in my studio smoking this Camacho Red, having a delicious moment, it is totally for me. I'm not doing anything to produce anything for anybody in smoking that cigar. I'm not building something or crafting something or cleaning something or, giving something to somebody for their experience. It is just me and the cigar. Even if I'm in a room of 100 people, even if I'm going to an event, the Cigarage is having an event in in about 3-4 weeks that I may be going to. It's about 2.5 hours from here, and it's at a Harley Davidson place, and there's going to be a couple hundred people there. Suppose that's what they're expecting, is a couple hundred people in attendance, and we'll all be smoking cigars. And even though I'll be sitting next to people, talking next to people, their smokes and my smokes and their smoke, my cigar is being smoked just by me, just for me. It does not matter how many people are there, even if we're all smoking the same cigar, because it hits us differently. And it's amazing that a bunch of dried, rolled up leaves set on fire can bring moments of peace, moments of fellowship, moments of encouragement, moments of belonging, moments of grief, milestone markers, memory makers. I didn't have anybody in my family that smoked cigars before me. Not in front of me. Not that I know of. When I came around the scene, maybe my grandfather smoked cigars. Either one of my grandfathers. Maybe my father smoked cigars. I don't think he did, but never around me. But now, my son smokes cigars. It started out when he was hanging out with me on the porch at an apartment complex. My daughter smokes cigars. Same thing. My grandkids come in and they see me smoking cigars, and we sit out on the porch, me and Chief, when we have get-togethers. We're smoking cigars. Chief's daughter Ember loves the smell of cigar smoke. Drives Amber's mama crazy, but she does. I don't think she loves cigar smoke as much as she loves the fact that she loves her dad, and that is the attachment memory that she has put to her dad, the first lady. She loved her grandpa, Big Daddy, I think is what he was called. And she remembers as a kid, he'd smoke cigarettes, I guess. And he would light up with the old, I call them kitchen matches, them hard wooden matches in the big box with the blue tip or the red tip. And she loves that smell. It brings her right back to that moment. And it's just from the process of a bunch of rolled up leaves set on fire. Look, I get to talk to you. You. You're in my circle of awesomeness. Because you wanted to watch a video about a guy who is smoking cigars. Are you kidding me? The White House used to have cigars to give out to all of the dignitaries that came from other countries. It's made by Joya de Nicaragua. The Uno is the original blend. There was a presidential cigar. There was a White House official cigar. It's crazy to me. But it's so true. It is a leveler of people. You can have a billionaire pulled up in a freaking Bentley with a driver wearing a Rolex and shoes that cost more than my house, sitting down smoking a cigar with a guy who doesn't know how he's going to pay his rent, and he just needs to go smoke a cigar and relax for a minute because the world is crushing down on him. And they talk like friends. And they become friends. And there is no spot in each one of their social circles they would come in contact with each other than a bunch of rolled up leaves set on fire. Have you ever thought of that? And the community. I guarantee you do this. When you go to an outing and you're taking cigars with you, you always bring a couple extra because there's going to be somebody that says, I ain't never smoked a cigar before. Can I try one? Or, man, you brought cigars? Man, I wish I had a cigar. Blah, 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 blah. Well, here. And you don't bring junk. You don't bring your good stuff, your $20, $30 cigars, and then you bring a couple $2, $3, $4 cigars. You give your best, or close to it, and you'll teach them, talk to them about it. And you'll make sure you bring a lighter blend or an infused blend so that somebody tiptoes into the lifestyle. Why? Because you want to make their life a little bit better. I don't know many organizations, many societal groups that go out of their way to spend their resources and their money and their time and themselves to give without receiving. I love a comment of groups like that. I believe there's some. I believe if you dig deep and you start talking about things, you could find some. The First Lady does not smoke. She does not care for cigar smoke. She's grown accustomed to it. I kiss her before I smoke cigars because she don't want to kiss me after. I'm just glad she wants to kiss me every once in a while because I like it. That's my baby. But she actually came to me and Chief last year, and said, hey, I want to do a podcast, or I want to do a video series for the people that don't smoke cigars, that love people who smoke cigars. And we're both kind of going, me and Chief are kind of going, nah, it's hard to sponsor that. And our content is people who smoke cigars. And you're wanting content to people who don't smoke cigars. So we're not going to have a lot of people that are going to want to watch that. And then Chief and I were thinking, and I think it was me more thinking than Chief on this one. And I was like, well, if the First Lady is doing a show and the guys' wives, I'm being sexist here, but the guys' wives are like, they watch it and they find it interesting because First Lady's awesome, then they don't complain when their husband's sitting there watching our videos. We're going to get more views. And so that's kind of my mindset. And she said, I really want to try it. And so we talked and we said, okay, let's give it a 6-month trial. We'll do one a month. We'll do it live. And I want to make sure Sarah was successful. And I said, okay, we need a hook. People aren't going to beat down a door if they don't smoke cigars talking about smoking cigars. They have to figure out they have a need for it, a want for it, right? There's got to be value to it. You're not going to get them in the door with that, right? You don't show pictures of carrots in a pile when you sell carrot cake. Nobody's going there for the vegetable content. They're going there for the flavor, right? You show that cream frosting, right? I love carrot cake. So you have to have a hook. And so the hook was a giveaway. So you have to be there live. It's every second Saturday at noon. Second Saturdays with First Lady, live, giveaway. And we do a big giveaway. We do a banging giveaway. We do. And so that's the hook. You got to be there. You got to comment. And you got to be there the whole time. But I got to tell you, the content that the First Lady has put out and the things that she said is amazing to me. And that she has reached out. She did her last one was on the ladies of the industry. And she reached out to Anasaka. And I don't think Anasaka knows my name. And Anasaka had a huge conversation with the First Lady, giving her tons of insider information. I was jealous. And she watched the show and made lots of comments. And it was interesting. I learned so much from her things. And she's professional. She's good and it's funny. It's enjoyable. It is. It's fantastic. And she has lots of views. Kind of proud of that. I'm kind of proud for her of that as well. And it's because she says she doesn't smoke cigars. And she was kind of thinking it was a good old boy club. And now she sees the value in the fellowship of the group. And she sees the investment of the individuals. And she has so many friends that smoke cigars. And when we go to barn smokers or events or local lounges, people say, hey, First Lady. And that's kind of cool. There's something special about cigars and what it lubricates. In the video, I haven't shot the video, I'm going to shoot it tonight. In the video, I talk about if you're having a hard time, you need help. You need to take a step, any step. You need to seek help. You need to take a step. I'm not telling you what your step you need to take. That's you and your life and what you're comfortable with. And how far you're willing to get uncomfortable, because you got to get uncomfortable because your comfort's not working for you right now for whatever reason. You need some help, and there's nothing wrong with that. Help is not weakness. Help is strength. But I suggest that maybe you buy a cigar and then buy a second, and then you invite a friend to hang out with you, and you allow the smoke to give you an opportunity to maybe talk about the stuff you're going through. And they probably will have stuff to talk about too. Now, you want to have a good experience. You can do it with any cigar. Camacho is a pretty good cigar. Now, this episode is sponsored by Camacho, but I am not contractually obligated to say smoke a Camacho. But I will say, construction and quality is good. Smoke draw burn is great. Flavors are full and intense. If that's what you like, grab you one. But no matter what you do, take those moments. So you had lots of homework. I asked you to leave me comments. I wish you would leave me comments throughout this video. If you don't remember the comments, go back and watch it again because I can use the minutes and the views. If you didn't watch last week's podcast, First Lady was on. Hilarious. Wonderful. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, but it was worth watching. So check her out. It's time to get on the other side of that door. It's time to get in that house. Start living and loving. They love you and you love them. Get to it. Enjoy your weekend because you got Monday coming right around the corner. It's Bob the Cigar Guy saying, stay awesome, stay phenomenal, stay lovely, live life bold, and be who you are because everybody else is taken. Nobody can be the better you than you, and the world needs you. And I do mean that. I love you. I'll see you later. Later, Tater.